And welcome back to the Part-Time Otaku Podcast. My name is Grant.
My name is Dave.
If you are a first-time listener, this is a anime-only podcast. This season, we are covering My Hero Academia, specifically this week, episode 10, That Which is Inherited. Before we get too far into it, we'd like to give a shout-out to AruVaneX on Twitter and Instagram for the amazing Uraraka thumbnail. Again, rinse and repeat. Thank you so much to everyone that lets us use these. They look fucking awesome. And, another outstanding week of sick art we're allowed to use.
Sick art.
Yeah. But, there's a lot to talk about this episode. So let's just jump right into the synopsis. That Which is Inherited. Midoriya and Shinso face off for the first time since the sports festival in the last fight of the class battles. But their match is interrupted when Midoriya's quirk begins to distract him.
It's about damn time.
Oh my god, man. This is the shot of life we needed into this show.
Yes. I knew, well, no, I didn't know. I think we both hoped that, there were hints that there were going to be some developments, towards the end of this part of the season or maybe the arc. I don't know. We were building to something. We weren't sure what or when.
It was impossible to notice with this big fucking bruise we all have on the top of our heads from repeatedly being fucking, reminded throughout the season that, the vestiges of stuff. So, it was presented to us and it fucking delivered, Dave. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
This is
damn time.
Yeah, holy cow, man.
But they showed up, man.
Absolutely.
And I knew, the first scene. I mean, I'm not fucking clairvoyant. I don't think this is exactly a really great take or pickup. But yeah, they start the episode with All For One being monitored in his prison cell.
That caught me by surprise. That was the last thing I was thinking of was All For One.
Yeah, because he, as much as this is all about One For All, he's so it's a direct line to All For One, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason this power is being cultivated is because there's a big bad out there somewhere.
Yes.
And it's crazy because when did they put him in chains? What was that, season 3?
Well, yeah, when him and All Might had that last showdown.
One of the best episodes ever.
Oh, unreal. United States of Smash.
Dude, United States of Smash, that's one of the best, biggest Sakuga moments I've seen. That's a great one. Yeah. Anyway, so
tremendous.
Yeah, they start us off with that. It's okay, here we go. We're getting to the main darker thread. They've mentioned this. I'm assuming they've mentioned this for a reason.
Sure.
And then, the episode sort of takes its course.
But I don't know about you. I was confused. Because it was weird because it opens up to security guards or prison guards in their comm center kind of thing, and why are they calling him prisoner? What just call him, who he is. And but there's that, and then he reacts to them, and that was cool.
That was
cool. But the way he's talking, it's so vague, and that's the thing about this plot line right now, what we've been teased with this season and kind of a little bit prior.
Mm-hmm.
This is a classic case of we got some answers, but now we got some more questions, which is good. It makes us look forward. But I was a little lost, just kind of his wordage of I hear my little brother.
Yeah. So to me, it's weird, right? There are a couple things. The scene is quick, but we do learn a couple things. One of the guards says I can't believe they haven't sentenced him already, or I'm ready for them to sentence him or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they're on pins and needles. Because if he moves,
yeah,
right, his every movement is literally being monitored because he's so dangerous. So
mm-hmm.
They're probably on red alert, on pins and needles all the time. He says he was reacting to a body ache.
Mm.
I was assuming that in my head. I was oh, maybe this is not real time. Or maybe it is, maybe he can feel something happening with his brother's quirk because they're somehow connected. Well, they are connected, right?
Yeah.
He gave his brother his quirk.
I wonder if that's maybe that's a byproduct of All For One, of anyone he bestows a power upon has a forever link to them.
Yeah, I figured there must have been something familial, there was a reason that the two of them are linked, but that's a good point too. Anyway, so clearly he knows something's going on, and he's laughing about it. Like,
Yeah.
he's clearly in the know. I mean, he's the big
Like
bad.
he's not locked in there. Like let's not kid ourselves. Like he's it's
Well, it
like
makes you
he
curious,
is,
though, right?
but he's not. Like there's no he, because that's the thing for a person. They must be subjugating him some way where he can't fully use his quirks, because a villain that has like a Rolodex of just about every quirk under the moon must, even like sitting stationary, he must have some ability or quirk that can allow him to remove himself. Unless, like I said, there must be something they're doing to him to keep him like at bay, whether they're
Yeah.
drugging him or something like that. So it's, I just have more questions.
They had all kinds of, restraints and shit on him. Like, maybe they found a way to neutralize any kind of quirk activation. Like you said, like, it's also like, is he really stuck in there? Like, if he wanted, could he bust out? Is this all part of some kind of long con? Because we know that it seemed like a very conscious choice, and I know this is like a long callback, and we don't want to go down this whole route because we have a whole episode to talk about.
Sure.
But just very quickly, during that fight with All Might, it seems like Shomura, the guy with the hands or whatever.
Yeah.
He's really upset that his mentor, All for One, is like about to go fight against All Might, because he's like, you're not going to be able to handle it in that body. And then, because they have a weird relationship, right? It felt like he knew he might lose, and like he was kind of putting his hopes on Shomura at one point, like as though Shomura was kind of the next phase of the plan. So it just makes me wonder, like, what game are we playing here? Because it doesn't seem as obvious as like he wanted one more fight with All Might, and he risked it all and he lost, and now he's just like laughing in prison. It just doesn't seem like, he's got some other irons in the fire.
He must be.
So
a villain, a super villain.
Yeah.
Of his, caliber. Like he doesn't make a decision, or he doesn't go into a fight.
Oops, sorry about that.
I don't know. He doesn't just go into a fight willy nilly. Like there's, villains are manipulators, right? They plan everything they do. So no, but yeah, not to stand on too long. It was good to see a friendly face or an unfriendly face. It was interesting too. Before we move on, they did mention Giganta, the big dude. They teased at a point last season.
Giganta something or other. Yeah, he's a follower of All for One.
Yeah, and they also make reference, they don't know how many more followers of his there are out there.
Right.
So they're potentially setting up like a new rogues gallery of villains that we haven't seen yet, whether it's new and old. We've said that. We've been saying this the past couple of weeks. I think we're ready to see the villains again. Like, it's time.
We had, was it this season? We had that early setup with
Dobby,
and Hawks, and it's been a while since we've seen Shomura.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
So they can enter any minute now.
Yeah.
And maybe they will with everything that's going on. The next thing is, like, Gran Torino calls All Might. More or less to say, I don't know anything, but he gives us this little tidbit, right? Because Shimura, All Might's mentor, the previous holder of the quirk, all they really give us is that in a dream, she says, a fuzzy man told her the time has not yet come. So I interpreted that as she had a similar dream that Midoriya had. And whoever, the original holder, the brother, probably said it's not time yet.
Yeah.
And it seems like that time is approaching, is kind of, where this is going. Did you notice Gran Torino looks older, by the way?
I honestly, I noticed he kind of just looked like Gran Torino.
Did he always walk with a cane? He had a cane. Oh, he did?
Yeah, I think so. He would drop it at times. That was the thing too. Like, I think when Midoriya first met him, he had that cane, and then when he went to go toe to toe with him, he was like, "Okay, like I'm gonna bounce around the room."
He was like Yoda, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he had a cane. I'm almost certain he had a cane.
I think you're right now that I think about that. Okay, well.
I love me some Gran Torino. He was good. There were some really good arcs with him and Midoriya early days. He was a, it's funny because like we didn't get to cover the previous 4 seasons together of the show, but it was so fitting of All Might to allow them to meet. It made sense to team those two up. Just Gran Torino's similar style to Midoriya, evidently, without even realizing it. That's kind of the fighting style that Midoriya has now. It's kind of based. It's actually a good blend between Gran Torino and All Might when you think about it. I guess it's pretty obvious now thinking about it, but it's I love me some Gran Torino.
Yeah, he's good shit.
And you could tell he was in a meeting with some cops. So like you can tell
he's busy. He's
busy.
Working.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to come back in a more meaningful way this season for sure.
I'm down with that. Then we get into the match. There's like some very basic strategy. People are talking about like, Midoriya's team isn't quite as strong as Bakugo's team, so Midoriya is going to have to do a little bit more of the scouting because they don't have like a Jiro, But like the action picks up pretty quick. I did notice. Did you catch that Midoriya was using hand signals like right off the bat?
Yeah, pointing.
Yeah. So I mean, like they've thought about it.
They know they can't like verbally communicate effectively.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. There's a chance that there's two people using the brainwashing, right?
That was a really cool foil to this whole thing. I knew that guy's name, the annoying guy from Class B. I knew.
Phantom Thief.
Yeah, I knew his quirk was called Copy, but like I don't. Have we seen him use it?
I don't believe so. I don't think he was of meaningful benefit in like. I think the last time we would have saw him was the sports festival, like the there's like the jousting match they did. I feel like that's where we saw the majority of Class B was in that in that setting, but we didn't get to see all of them obviously because there's so much going on.
Right.
But he's grown on me, man. And actually, I'm going a little back onto last week's episode. We completely glossed over. He had some really good lines about his turnaround on Bakugo. Just like watching from the sidelines of going like, he's not all just this. Like he's using that passion and he is working with his team. And it was kind of like he was stunned.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, there is more to this character. Like the reason he is hard on people is because he thinks they're fakes.
You know what the problem is like, you're right. Like that was a moment of like a genuine like character. I don't know if you want to call it growth or like a new take on the character. Like you realize he's not super one dimensional.
Yeah.
But he kind of has the Zenitsu problem from Demon Slayer. It's like if you make a character only be on screen and be annoying for like 20 out of 30 episodes, then like when you do give them a moment, like it's great, but like it's undercut by how annoying and like one note you've made them.
But I think this episode takes that further in a good way because it shows that he's no joke. He is very, because obviously he's we're getting to that point now, but like Midoriya comes toe to toe with him, and that's where the beginning of the fight starts. They engage with one another, and like there's a lot of he's fucking with them, but the guy knows how to move. He knows like he hasn't attacked aggressively, but Midoriya has a hard time catching him.
Yeah, I was like, so you're totally right. Like the whole instigating nature of his character works really well in this scenario because this whole confrontation between him and Midoriya is just mind games. He's just fucking with him. But
he's also trying to set up Shinsho.
Yeah, he's trying to shut up Shinsho to get in on it, and he's playing mind games with Midoriya, and there's lots of unknowns, and he seems to thrive in that environment, because you're right, I was low-key getting frustrated, like, Midoriya, what are you doing? Like, blow this guy the fuck away. Like,
end it. Yeah.
You've been talking about how, like, you need to perform, and you're just dicking around.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? So, he definitely, copy, or would you say Phantom Thief?
That's his hero name, I think.
So he performed above expectations.
Absolutely. And also, too, there's that, before the fight engages, he has that conversation with Shinsho. Yeah. And you kind of, has, it was interesting, too, because there's one line he asks, I thought he was kind of, like, trying to stir up conversation, because he makes a line last episode of, you can't give too much away, or his ability won't work. Because I think Shinsho's kind of talking and they interrupt him saying, no, like you can't give him too much ahead of time.
Right.
And I thought that was interesting. And then he has this, not like he's trying to rouse, Shinsho, but he has this moment where he talks about, it's hard, isn't it? Like, we grow up as wanting to save people. We want to be heroes, but we have to toe the line of we have to be heroes against people who don't, and that we have to be better than them and overcome them, which I thought was really cool. They've hit that theme before in the show. I think it might have been Ida. It would have been in the Stain arc. That was like really prevalent, like
that was huge. That was a really good arc.
And So like, he's like, it's not new ground. That is it. Monoma his name.
Yes.
Anyways,
so.
or we'll call him Phantom Thief. Copy.
Yeah.
So he brings up this line. Like, it's nothing new, but it was interesting to hear from him, and he is right, and it was good bringing that up with Shinsho going in. But he also has almost like a throwaway line of, "Oh hey, how did you get Midoriya, or how did you brainwash Midoriya at the sports festival?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets the answer, and then he just moves right on back into the conversation about like heroes versus villains and how we have to work harder and all that. And I was like, I could not believe in like a span of like 2 minutes how much depth they gave this guy when he, it's like you said, the 20 or 30 episodes he has been, or the figure of 20 or 30 episodes, he's just been a loudmouth and annoying and like just like an antagonist to the the
Just
a
kind of
rival, more or less.
Class A,
yeah, exactly. So like they really showed some cool colors for this character, and this is just like another one of the highlights of the season is taking these moments and kind of flipping characters around and getting more from them in such a short amount of time.
It's a good example, and we've talked about this before, about how when the show wants to, it can develop a character very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when they decide to pour resources into something, the benefit of having, potentially one-note characters is like you've got them all over the place, and it feels like the show is confident that like because these characters have been around for so long, the audience knows them and is like willing to learn more about them basically at any time.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you just want to give like Shinsho and Phantom Thief like a whole, not a whole, like this brief scene that kind of informs the audience about them, it just sort of works because the audience knows who they are, we're interested, so on and so forth. As Phantom Thief does this with Midoriya, that's when Class B slowly kind of starts to engage the rest of, or creep, creep on Class A. We get like a whole, roster info, like, that, like...
Yeah.
I didn't know any of these people.
No.
Poltergeist is like the one who's seems to be most involved in this episode because
her quirk is all over the episode.
Yeah, it basically just lifts shit up and throws it at people, and Phantom Thief has copied it.
Yeah.
So it's littered throughout the entire episode. But Size Girl too, right? Because long story short, she can shrink shit and move shit.
Yep.
And then Twin Impact was a weird one.
That's the one I still don't get because it seemed like he was tracking them. I'm not sure if that was somehow involved with his quirk or if that was just like a support item he was using. He honestly looks like a Saiyan.
Yeah, I know the Scouter.
Not even the Scouter, but just like the armor too. Like I know it doesn't look like Dragon Ball Z armor, but the bulkiness of it kind of reminded me of Saiyan armor.
Yeah.
But I understand the Twin Impact of like everything has. It reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen, like his ability where he hits and then like there's like a secondary blow that happens after. That's how I wrapped my head around it. I was like, okay, I get this guy.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, but no, it was kind of blew right through it, and it kind of sucked. I was curious to see his quirk and how him in action, but he seemed to be like the bottom tier of the group.
Yeah,
this episode.
This match might end up going long, which we predicted, several episodes. So, I would assume that potentially we'll see more of all those people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they engage, and it seems like Class A does a decent job at defending at first, but then the twin impact thing kind of turns the tides, and then they kind of retreat, and then it shifts back to Midoriya and Phantom Thief. And this is here, like, I was getting frustrated. I was like, what are we doing? Like, it's been a while. Your team's under attack. Blow this guy away. And then it looks like he's about to use his little projectile way of flicking air, which is it's a thing, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. It's cool.
and that's when everything goes sideways. And the episode kicks into high gear.
Dave, I was so shocked. I didn't know what was going on.
I remember last week, I was like, I feel like they're like acting as though something's going to happen, and why would something happen? So like, this is not what I was expecting, obviously, but like something happened. Like, shit went wrong.
Well, as it happened, the opening moments of it, I thought, well, this is all for one. Somehow, this is what they set up at the beginning of the episode, and we soon find out that is just not the case. But it makes me more curious as to why they set up One for All at the beginning of the, or All for One at the beginning of the episode. Was that just like a bait and switch, or is that genuinely setting up like the next arc of something to come?
Maybe a bit of both. I think
it seemed a little cheeky to me that they set that up in the beginning.
I think it's because these two things are very firmly connected, right?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Well, let's get through the rest of the episode and we'll get there. You as a quick sidebar, you never watched Dragon Ball Super, right? Or did you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I was gonna say this is like kind of reminiscent to a specific thing in there, but so I also, as a quick note, I love the animation that they put on All Might. They have this like long shot like that, like starts like below him.
It looks like dusk behind him in the clouds.
Yeah. That was really, really, really cool.
Because you just know, because that's, because All Might has always warned Midoriya, right? Like this is power in the literal sense. Like you have immense strength now, and watching, like as the scene progressed, it clicked to me, Dave. This is exactly what this season has been missing. There has been zero stakes this season. The second they bring that back is like, and this is what we've been talking about, man. They needed to fucking move the story back in. And the second the story is at the forefront, which they have done, it's obviously it's going to kick back in.
They take breaks from it, right? Like,
yeah,
you could tell, like, they clearly know where this is going, but like they're spacing it out, so that characters can grow, yada yada yada. I get it.
But this is what the show has been missing, and this is what is great about the show. This is why I fell in love with My Hero Academia, is the stakes and overcoming the stakes in a, like, not just a quick fashion. Like, obviously,
all of a sudden things matter.
Exactly. And, you can see, like, the shock and horror of All Might and, like, immediately rushing to, Aiza and Vlad of, like, you gotta shut this down. Yeah. Like, because they don't know. Like, they've seen All Might at the height of his power, but they haven't seen someone who's not in control of their power yet, So he was probably terrified. Probably worried people were going to die. And I thought someone was going to die.
Yeah, I thought it might go bad there for a sec, Like, Midoriya is flying all over the place. Like, it's like whipping him in the air. The animation is like this long, like, energy blast, right? His classmates think he's like learned a new move or something.
Yeah. Which he has.
Yeah, and like, I was like, wait, no, I think this is bad. Like, anyway, I love that in his attempt to wrangle it, he throws himself through a building and lands next to Shinsho. I was like, fuck.
Well, but he also said to Phantom Thief before too. He's like almost begging them to run.
Yeah. That was some good voice acting.
Yeah.
Homie's got pipes when he needs to have them.
All of them. There's the voice acting across the board in this episode was tremendous.
Yeah.
Really, but yeah, so
moment. Go ahead.
And like just the fear in Shinsho's eyes of like,
you
fuck,
could tell. Like, Shinsho was like, "This don't feel like a drill, homie."
No, this ain't good.
Like, yo, what's good? Uraraka Okachoko, what, levitating girl?
Yeah.
I like this moment of her grabbing him.
Yeah.
Midair to try and help him.
You gotta save your boo.
Yeah, there's this great little line they've got, where she's got like these flashbacks of Midoriya and being a hero, and then her line is, I don't know if she says it out loud or if she's saying it to herself in her flashback. She says, "Who protects the heroes when they're hurting?" I was like, yeah, go get him. Go get him. she just hugs him midair.
Yeah.
But is it her idea to...
Well, I think Shinsho was like deer in headlights, like just didn't know what to do, like just watch, because everyone was watching, because like the vastness of what was going on, the scale was
far-reaching. He was breaking buildings down, right?
Yeah, and like, there's one point you can see like a skyline of the distance of the class, and it's just, it was all encompassing. And she is the one that kind of like, Shinsho like fucking like brainwash him,
It's cool though. She's the one that comes to in a crisis, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, Midoriya's clearly distracted, no one else around them is like capable of processing like what to do.
Yeah.
There's this cool moment of Shinsho being like, what the fuck do I say?
Mm-hmm.
Though I think at this moment, like, Deku or Midoriya probably would have answered him.
Yeah.
No matter what he said.
Yes, I love hot dogs. Like, stop this.
Like, just like, lend me a hand here, homie.
Wow.
He says, "Yeah, you want, fight me or something," and then Midoriya just responds, "Yeah," and that is the moment that we like enter this last, what do you want to call it, phase, this last act of the episode, because it works.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you watch Midoriya go unconscious, things seem to ease up for a sec, and we're right back in the realm of like the vestiges,
Chills.
where we've been previously when Midoriya is like unconscious. I think at the beginning of this season or at the finale of last season. So this was good. I was like, oh, we're here already.
Yeah.
About damn time. I mean, it's hard not to see coming with everything that happened, but
I was worried there was going to be a cut. I was like checking for time. I was like, they are not going to cut to credits right now. And then, looking for my phone, trying to see how long we've been watching it. And then it cuts right in, to him being in the vestiges. I was like, oh, thank fuck. Thank God they're going to show us something. But we got so much more, Dave. Like,
big lore dump.
Big lore dump. Oh,
which is like pretty rare. Like they hold on to these in this show. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a minute. This guy we have not seen before, right?
No,
ever.
No,
and
I think we've seen the outline of him,
right?
But we haven't seen him speak. Obviously, we still don't even have a name. I don't think.
On that note, Midoriya is still a floating head and a piece of a hand. Like, he still doesn't have a mouth, so he can't communicate to this man.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy kind of introduces himself as a past successor. And at first, I was like, where are we going here? Because he's yelling at Midoriya to work harder.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
But then he drops the bomb saying, the power you just used was my quirk.
Mm-hmm.
And then he explains that Midoriya's basically had like a quirk malfunction.
Well, he also, like, he kind of hits home. He goes, you were trying to catch that guy, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, you're lucky that it was me. It was almost like it could have been random. It seems like it could have been random. Like it almost seems like all for one, or one for all chose for Midoriya. In this case, like, this would be like the next logical step for you as a quirk to take upon.
You're saying
because like it wasn't him, like it wasn't this previous successor, it wasn't Midoriya, because I think one for all is an entity, is described to us now as its own entity, so it feels like it's the one behind the driver's seat, and it's the one that has decided that this is what you need going forward. I do have a theory on the head and the hand thing. I think going forward, as he claims more quirks, his body's gonna become more, and then probably he's probably not gonna have a mouth till the very end, would be my guess.
I wonder, that's an interesting thought. I wonder why that guy, like, do you think that guy, that previous successor or holder of the quirk, do you think he's there because he had access? Well, let's just get to the reveal here. The big reveal in this moment is he says, you just tried to use my quirk without realizing it. It's called Black Whip. And that's like, the animation looks like kind of a black whip. Yeah. But the big, huge reveal is that there's 6 more.
That he's going to get, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have 6 more quirks manifest in you. You're the one who will complete One for All. So it seems as though, everyone who's held the One for All quirk had a quirk of their own on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Midoriya will ultimately be the one to be able to wield all of them. Does that sound about right?
So this is where I'm confused, and it sounds right. So this is where I'm confused.
Hit me up.
Is Midoriya's original quirk of One for All, is that based on All Might? Is the reason he's so strong, is that because All Might directly gave that to him?
That's a good question. I don't.
So
I got the vibe that they all had the same power. They all had super strength and speed, but like that's the One for All quirk was that. It was super strength and speed and then someone, I think the original holder, had a quirk that allowed you to pass it down.
Okay. Oh, because I suppose...
So they've all been the same type of hero, but they may have had a base quirk as well.
Because not all of them... It's not like it was a thing where none of them ever had a quirk. Midoriya, and I think
Yes.
Did All Might have a quirk?
I don't think so.
So he was saying, that's why he chose Midoriya, because he saw himself in Midoriya.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
So gotcha. I think that's the case. So I don't think any of these people have been able to wield the individual quirks of all the previous holders, right?
just what they had, and then like the benefits of like
exactly
like the power up essentially.
And we could be wrong, but that is how I interpreted it.
I think so. Yeah.
And
Okay.
By saying all the stuff in this episode is like, has the time come? The time has come. Midoriya is going to be the one to like wield all of it and kind of maybe complete this power or whatever. He also mentions the previous holder guy. He also mentions, by the way, like Black Whip is way stronger than it normally would have been because it's been cultivated by the One for All quirk.
Yeah, they're all going to be powered up.
Yeah, he's going to get, like, everything he's getting is a Kaioken version of what it originally was.
So dope. Love it.
So
Love it for my guy. Love it for my guy Midoriya.
I did not see that. That's pretty cool. It feels like, what it made me think of immediately. I was like, oh, so like by the end of this show, it's going to be Midoriya with his mastered version of One for All and his 6 or 7 so unique quirks versus All for One.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be like a quirk off because All for One has 1 billion. But Midoriya will have this really refined version,
cultivated version of
and now he's gonna have more tools. Like this Black Whip thing is like it's like a. I bet they're all gonna be utility based like that.
Yeah.
Like Black Whip is very specific in being able to capture, restrain.
But that's the thing. Like it doesn't even need to do that. Like it seems like it can tear through stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not just. It can be used as a defensive, ability or offensive and defensive. It has a lot of versatility, which is good. But it was also really nice where he kind of hits it home. He goes like, you were angry, weren't you?
Yeah.
And just the moment of like where he like puts his finger to his heart and he's like, use this, man. Like,
yep.
I was like, fuck yeah, like I like this guy.
It's cool. I didn't think of this at the time, but like. Hearing you say that, like, it makes sense that all of these previous holders are all probably pretty good people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they're all probably pretty well-intentioned, well-adjusted. Like, look at All Might, look at what he's been through. Even just what we've seen of his mentor, and the lessons she taught him. It makes sense that, like, if Midoriya can communicate with any of these people, all of them are probably pretty legit, and you can probably learn from each of them. And I'm sure we'll explore that more. So that was a big bomb. And then Midoriya wakes up.
And right back into the action. Oh, there's a nice moment between him and Uraraka. But, she slaps the shit out of him. It's right, too. Oh, should I slap you too hard?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Cut it out.
I love that Copy doesn't miss a beat. Or Phantom Thief doesn't miss a beat. He just re-engages. And so does the rest of his team.
Shinsho's the only one that sits and watches. But he has... It's cool because he has this face of, like... Or, because he has a line, when Uraraka kind of calls to Shinsho to, like use your brainwash. Mm-hmm. And, Shinsho has that momentary inner dialogue of, I wanted to fight you, Midoriya. Like, I've been trying to prove myself. I want to be a hero. I want to help people, which is good. And it shows that I'm really glad that Shinsho is not going to just be, like, this dark horse and he's actually has evil intentions or anything like that. Like, that was also the really big thing. And kind of, like... It was a little overshadowed by all the Midoriya stuff and the vestiges, but it just showed his genuine, true intentions. Like, he wants to be a hero.
Yeah.
And he wanted this fight. He wanted to fight Midoriya. Like, he wanted to prove, like, not as, like, rival. It's not like Bakugo. It's different. He wants... It's not he's trying to prove himself to... Obviously, he wants to prove himself, but I think, he sees growth in himself through Midoriya. Yeah. And he really wanted that. And that kind of just stirred him to say, fight me. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, yes.
There's all kinds of Dragon Ball Super stuff I want to bring up as a result. But no, you're right. I agree with that take 100%. So eventually, this results in kind of an all-out brawl. Class A arrives.
Yeah, Minata and Pinky comes swinging. I loved to see that. That was awesome.
Y'all fucking partying without us?
Yeah, Minata looked like a crazed maniac.
I liked it. I liked this scene a lot because it was like, enough with the pokey, like, strategic, they were prodding.
Yeah.
It just resulted in everybody's in the same area and we're just swinging now.
Yeah, let's fucking brawl, man.
That's what we want to see. And then, the episode pretty much ends on Shinsho and, rap seems to be going for Uraraka and Midoriya catches it.
Yeah.
fucking, he's like, just grabs it out of the air. He's like, oh, no, I got that shit. And then
But-
Aizawa, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and Aizawa says, we're going to let the match continue.
Yeah, admittedly. So here's my problem with the ending of this episode. Did we see all that character development for Chincho and like proving himself and like, you know, he was able to stop Midoriya?
Mm-hmm.
They are now all closed in. Is Midoriya just gonna fucking wipe the floor?
That'd be
Because
so
none of
funny.
them, like, you know, we could be wrong. Like, I don't want to throw Class B under the bus, but like, I don't think anyone on that team can fucking handle him. He is a savage. Like, Quirk alone, he's obviously gonna. The thing that might be to his advantage, they're gonna use next episode to focus this Black Whip Quirk,
Yeah.
and he's not gonna have full control, and they're gonna be able to get around it.
That's my thought. Is what is this episode? Yeah, it's only episode 10. My guess, if we're in Prediction City,
Yeah,
is that like he's winded, he's not at 100% anymore, and the Black Whip thing will be like a focus. And don't forget as well, they're outnumbered. It's the 5-on-4 match, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe those things result in this taking a couple episodes.
So the benefit of them being of next episode is Minata, Pinky, and Uraraka all benefit from close range.
True.
You know, Uraraka kind of has like low key like that. You know, she knows how to fight, like fist fight now, because she did like all that gunhead stuff. So she knows how to tango. Minata, you know, the closer you are, you're an easier target to get hit by his quirk. And Pinky is very much defensive. She can just, you know, she can kind of act like as a barrier to all the shit flinging at them. So it almost like, just, you know, from what we've seen this episode, now that they're all closed in together, I don't think Class B kind of stands a chance, unless like there's some, you know, forced hand bullshit going in.
They might get, you know, it doesn't take a ton to turn the tide, though, right? Like,
no, I agree.
If they can brainwash Midoriya again, which seems unlikely, or if they can get a good brainwash off on one of them,
that's true.
It really, you know, especially if you brainwash one or capture one, now it's 5 versus 3. You know what I mean? Like, the odds are stacked. Shinsho is there, you know, and think about how much damage, you know, Poltergeist plus Size Girl plus Twin Impact, like those 3 quirks are almost designed to work together. I'm not saying that they win. I'm just saying, like, I think it might be, you know, it might be tricky, especially considering Midoriya is not
at 100%.
At 100%. Yeah. But, you know, I'm more excited for this one than I have been for many of the others.
Yeah.
Especially with everything that happened, and I'm especially excited to see what comes of the Black Whip stuff and how everybody else reacts and what happens with One for All and All for One and yada, 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 yada.
What I'm excited to see is, or curious to see, I suppose, is this all ends, everyone goes back, and everyone's just fucking staring at Midoriya of like, what the fuck was that? Yeah. You know, like, he's gonna have to explain some shit, because that's the thing, like, you know, no one else knows. Like, Aizawa knows, and, you know, some of the teachers know, and even like All Might at this point he's gonna be like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
You know?
I mean, just as a sidebar, the Midoriya's like breaking new ground. All Might's gonna be like, I have no idea.
Yeah. He's gonna have to take a sideline. Maybe this is the opportunity, because they kind of teased a little bit that All Might spends too much time with Midoriya. Mm-hmm. Maybe this will allow them to separate a little bit. All Might can focus on some other people and help train them, because at this point, All Might can't do too much more for him. Yeah. You know, like, other than like, you know, the quirk that was his, but even then, like, he can help him with that. But I don't know. It's New Horizons. Like, they've really set up some interesting ideas and concepts going forward for the show.
That's what I was gonna say. Is, you know, what's old feels new again, and I'm excited to see where they take it.
Yeah,
but I think that's probably it for this episode.
Great episode.
Thank you guys for listening. You know, we do this every week. Episodes come out same time every week, and if you're new here, you know, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, support the podcast however you like. And also check out the post show. It drops 2 days after these episodes, and it's a lot more laid back. You know, we're not covering, you know, anything the way we're covering My Hero Academia, but we talk about just what other anime, what other shows we're watching. Like, for example, we've been talking a ton about Jujutsu Kaisen. I think we're going to talk about that more this week.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've talked about Castlevania. We might talk about, the new Loki series coming up. So lots going on. So feel free to check out the post show. Otherwise, we will see you next week.
Later, guys.
Cheers.